Hi, welcome to All Things Possible. We're excited to have you with us. This week we're going to be talking about treat your loved ones as good as strangers. And we're excited to talk about this topic because so much of the time we get caught up in our loved ones and those that are closest to us that we maybe don't treat them as good as we should, right?
And it's so easy to get caught in that comfort thing. But before we get into that, we would like you to go to our website.
Yeah, if you haven't joined our community, haven't become part of All Things Possible, go to www.allthingspossible.biz, that's B-I-Z,
Right here.
and join
Right
our
here.
community. There's free gifts there for you. We put out an episode, a video, as well as a blog every week, and we would love to have you join us and be part of our community.
So yeah, and this is just one of the things that we talk about. We talk about several different things. Anyway, back to our subject of treating your loved ones as good as strangers. Almost the title is the whole subject. To just stop and think about that. How often have you been like really upset? You can even be in the middle of an argument with somebody, like in your home or whatever, and the phone rings, the neighbor stops by, and you open the door and say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm great. How are you?"
That never
So nice to
happens
see
where we
you.
are here. We're here at Lake Powell, and we're in the middle of this beautiful, I want to call it a cathedral, but it's a cove that has gardens. You can see the gardens growing down from the rock. It's just beautiful.
No vegetables, they're just hanging gardens.
Yeah, hanging gardens.
But when we're home and we get comfortable around our loved ones, it seems like we feel like we can be our worst selves sometimes. We get caught into that where we get caught up in that where we're our lowest or our worst selves when we're around our loved ones. And if anything, it should be the opposite. Because you've done that, right? Answer the door, answer the phone, and as soon as they're gone, as soon as you hang up, you're back to rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, how many times do you find yourself correcting a child or being grumpy and the phone rings and you pick it up and you're all nice, you're all professional, especially if you work from home. That is something that you've got this, be on your best behavior, right, on the phone, or when we meet people out in public. How many times are we super nice to somebody and then we turn around and we are not feeling really good, or something's gone wrong and we're all of a sudden frustrated with our loved ones? It happens a lot. And one of the fun things is when we leave Lake Powell, it's always a fun time to watch the dock. Everybody has been out here playing most of the time for a week.
They've been here for a week. They're worn out. They're tired.
Too much sun.
Yeah. They've already had a half a day of hard work getting everything ready to go, and they've got all this stuff to get home and unpack. And oh my goodness, I guess that says something about the sick side of me. But it's kind of fun to watch how people treat each other.
It's actually hilarious because they're on the dock, they're yelling at each other, they're mad, and they're trying to load boats onto trailers, and you're trying to hurry because there's a line of people waiting.
But yet if you walk over to them and say, "Hey, can I give you a hand with that?" "Oh, that's so nice." And they're just as sweet as can be.
As sweet as can be, is right.
And they turn around and start grumping at the people around them. Yeah,
How many times does this happen? Like, it's not just Lake Powell. This happens all the time in so many different aspects of our lives. And how many times are we nicer to the neighbor than we are our child? Or nicer to a stranger than we are our spouse? Because until we really make that in the forefront of our minds, that we really have to change that. We have to have a shift in that so that they know how much we love them and we're not taking advantage of that. One of the examples I have for you, several years ago when my son had his second bout with cancer, he'd had 3 different brain tumor surgeries. He actually had gone through a broken back, and we were faced with having to do gamma knife radiation. And when we got to that point, gamma knife radiation is where they screw a halo onto your head so they can bolt you to the bed so that when they do the radiation, it's very specific and pinpointed to exactly this area. But to do that, there's no deadening. They just take a drill and screw this into your head in 4 different places. And if you've been with us very long, you've probably seen this picture. Even during that process, there was my son with a smile and just even the twinkle in his eye.
And being grateful to the nurses, thank you. And they was like, oh my gosh, everybody, this is such a miserable process. We've never had anybody be nice to us.
Right. They're usually cussing and having a fit, right? Because they're actually screwing screws
it's a painful,
into
painful
your skull.
process.
And yet it was such an example for me that it doesn't matter what's happening, we can still show love and consideration. We can still show gratitude in those places. Some of the things that we felt like were 5 tips that we could really help to create a way for you to be more positive, especially with your loved ones, so that we treat them as if they were strangers, right? And the first one is self-care. If you're not doing self-care and meditation and doing things for yourself to make yourself feel good so that you're in a good space, you're less likely to be nice to someone else if you're not taking care of you as well. So the first thing is make sure you've got that self-care. Make sure you're taking time out for you. Make sure you're scheduling the time to meditate, to ponder, to get out in nature, do those things that are good for you, whether it's a bubble bath or looking at the stars. Find ways that you are doing self-care so that you're in a good space.
Another thing is service that you can do is when things are really bad. You know, when life's, and it does get tough at times. There are things you have to deal with. But when you can get outside of yourself and go out and do something good for somebody else and help them, and just not expecting anything in return, it takes our attention off of ourselves, and our problems don't seem near as big. And that does seem to resolve a lot of things just by shifting to service. Put your attention and your focus on others.
Another one is healing. There's a ton of healing processes and healing things that you can do. But if there are things that are out of alignment or emotions and different things that you've got going on for you, you're more likely to be upset. So whether that's depression, whether that's anxiety, find ways to cope and to deal with the things that you're going through so that you are healthier and happier to deal with your loved ones.
Yes.
When you're stressed out and you're upset and we take for granted our loved ones, they're the ones that are taking the brunt of it. I mean, you look at it, the caretaker gets taken advantage of, always. And it's a difficult process. So take advantage of the time that you can do healing processes, learn different coping mechanisms and ways to heal yourself.
And that can be sometimes just as simple as writing a letter, getting your feelings down on paper, so they're not just. Sometimes we just feel rotten and all this anxiety, and we don't even take time to realize. It's hard to figure out what's behind all that. And sometimes it's as simple as writing it down. Start to write down, I am upset because, I am nervous because, whatever, I'm angry because, and write those things down and then burn the paper when you're done.
Yeah, write and burn is a great process.
So, but that can be, and then if there's other processes and maybe other more emotional or physical healing that you need to do to take care of yourself. The next one is, surprised that this would be coming from me, is forgiveness. Maybe you need to forgive somebody for their shortcomings. And maybe it's the person that looks back at you in the mirror. And many times that's the one that can cause the most turmoil in our lives, is when we don't forgive, accept, and love ourselves. So.
And the fifth one is exercise. If you are not getting out and having physical exercise, movement on a daily basis to where you're moving your body, that creates the endorphins, that creates the chemicals that your body needs for you to cope better. When we are actively involved in an exercise program or movement of our body on a regular basis, we are healthier and happier. And that allows us to treat others better. The better you feel, the better you'll treat other people.
And your exercise gets to be a little more vigorous than running off at the mouth or jumping to conclusions.
Okay, that's funny. No jumping to conclusions and no running at the mouth.
Running and jumping is good, but not that way. So, anyway, that's just some thoughts that we have.
So the message from the lake today is treat your loved ones as if they were strangers, and to love them, to show them that courtesy and your best side. Show them your best self. Why not? They deserve it more than anyone else.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. I hope you'll take a look at how you can be kinder to your loved ones.
And again, if you haven't joined us and joined our community, join at allthingspossible.biz right here at the bottom of the screen. Again, www.allthingspossible.biz, B-I-Z. Hey, they just saw how much hair you have on top of your head.
Oh my goodness. Bad move.
Hope you watch to the end. See you next time here on All Things Possible.